Unless you wanna bet that I can get you back inside your head before the summer ends, and spread a little love. Just for a little fun, I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be. I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
Welcome to Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit, and now here's your host, Rich Barris.
That's right. Welcome to Inside the Numbers, folks, with the People's Pundit. I'm your host, Rich Barris, the People's Pundit, and it is a Freewheeling Friday, so get your Q&A in. All right, we're going to go over Fox News. They have the media bashing them over the Dominion stuff. Look, I don't know how many times Robert Barnes and I told everyone that if you do that, if you go that route before you have, some gold valued kind of evidence, then don't bring it up. But the media, this is the worst part about what Robert and I said. The media now is going to use that angle, the Dominion angle, to paint every claim with a broad brush. And then, to be fair to Fox's hosts, were they really making fun of all of those people over or every claim, or were they just being more limited to the Dominion stuff? And we're going to go over a couple of those reports. Also, we got some new nomination polling. But first, let's talk about this Georgia grand jury thing. I said they found no widespread evidence. What did you expect? All right. Did you expect anything else? But it gives people at MSNBC, which you could expect, but then others at CNN, an opportunity to trot out this man. And I'm going to set the record straight on this guy, because this idea that Michael Cohen is something, because I saw it all over Twitter, but, MSNBC, the rest of them, he's met now, I think, 16 times with district attorneys in New York. This has been going on now for a while. We're going to talk about why Michael Cohen really is not an ally of Donald Trump anymore, and whether or not this is Michael Cohen being some kind of like CNN and MSNBC are portraying him as some kind of good guy. Now, this is how a bad guy can be a good guy. This is a man taking responsibility for his actions and trying to do better by himself. What a load of crap. This is not an example of somebody, being bad and then turning into a good guy. Wyatt Earp is the example of somebody who was a bad guy and turned into a good guy. He was a horse thief, a drunk, and everything else. You could probably name the guy, until he went out west, had a second chance, stopped drinking, got off the liquor, and became probably the most famous lawman in the West. Let's just run this clip from the MSNBC panel. All right, because CNN talks about what the Georgia grand jury thing means, and as if he's qualified to talk about this. And then, how many times have you spoke to the DA today, Michael? All right, and it's funny because the MSNBC panelist is actually going to bring up why he's not credible and why prosecutors don't like using rat finks like Michael Cohen for witnesses. All right, let's roll this.
Barbara McQuaid, have you ever called a witness in 16 times for any investigation you were ever a part of?
Nope, not even close.
What might it mean?
Well, I think it means they're very, very seriously considering criminal charges and very seriously considering making Michael Cohen not only a witness, but a key witness in this case. And I think that because when you have a witness who has been convicted of crimes, including crimes that involve false statements, a jury is naturally going to be skeptical of that witness's testimony. And so you need to corroborate that witness even more than you might other witnesses. And so that's why it makes sense to me that they're showing him every document they can find, testing his testimony against the testimony of other witnesses to ensure that it's not just his word that a jury has to believe. He can serve as sort of a narrator, but every fact that he is going to testify to is supported by a check, a bank record, a phone call, or another witness's testimony, so that a jury doesn't need to rely solely on any one witness in the case. My guess is it's that, but 16 really is extraordinary, and it does speak to, as Michael has just said, a level of detail that does, to me, point toward a serious consideration of an indictment. You know, if this case weren't going anywhere, they would have ended after one or two conversations and said, you know, we've decided we're not going forward. To go 16 times really is truly extraordinary, and it sounds like moving toward an indictment.
So, of course, federal prosecutors, the DA's office in Manhattan, in New York, have been seriously considering an indictment of Donald Trump for 6 years. What the hell are you talking about? That is not news. And you haven't called in a witness 16 times because you've never had a witness who so lacks credibility like Michael Cohen. You would need to do that. Has anybody ever considered that Michael Cohen is just feeding them crap and that's why they need to bring him in 16 times? Is it a level of detail, or the things that he's telling them aren't adding up? And they're like, come on, Michael, give me something. Give me something I can actually use here. We got to go back in time. This dates back to when he testified in front of the House. And the media was like, oh, God, this is it for Donald Trump. And Michael Cohen knows where all the bodies are buried because he was the fixer. And blah, 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 blah. This is what Michael Cohen has been up to for a while. We ran this report in February, at the end of February, literally the last day of February, in 2019. And he's been doing this ever since. What new does Michael Cohen have after all of these years? That Robert Mueller didn't find, that Andrew Weissman didn't find, that Preet didn't find, that all the rest of these people didn't find. Maybe it's 16 times because it's bull. Because he's feeding them nonsense. Because the truth is, he really wouldn't know anything about it at this point. They want something to stick to this man and have been trying forever. If there is an indictment, you should look with a serious crooked eye at why the hell these people were still investigating Donald Trump after all this time and talking with people like Michael Cohen. This is the real reason Michael Cohen is anti-Trump now. I'm going to read the whole article. It's going to give you context, and then we're going to give a little bit more. Michael Cohen privately boasted about his role, quote, to get Donald Trump. Folks, this source of this, there were a couple of them. They wanted to remain anonymous, but it doesn't get any closer than this. And now, by the way, since this report, the crux of the claims absolutely now are public, and now people know. And it was this was an accurate report. Has been, always was, and still is. Cohen's hatred for Trump, quote, burns with the fire of 1,000 suns, unquote. Well, how could that be? Michael Cohen was his guy, wasn't he? For a long time, Michael Cohen was on Donald Trump's side. Prior to testifying before the House Oversight Committee on Wednesday, Michael Cohen had not been shy about sharing his animus toward Donald Trump. I'm talking about people who know him, people who are around him. In his opening statement to Congress, he testified the president, at the time, Mr. President, is, quote, a racist, a con man, and a cheat. He told the committee and the nation, quote again, Mr. Trump did not directly tell me to lie to Congress, and although I have lied and I have done bad things, I am not a liar and I'm not a bad man. This was the beginning of his attempt to revamp his image and the media actually allowing him to do it. No, Michael, until you redeem yourself and actually show acts of redemption, if you lie and you've done bad things, you're a friggin' liar and you're a bad person. We can all redeem ourselves. God knows I have. But until you actually show acts of redemptions, you're still a piece of shit. Sitting in a DA's office or sitting in front of Robert Mueller in an attempt to save your own ass does not make you a good person. The statement, which critics viewed as a half-hearted attempt to appear redeemed, comports with claims made by several people who have had recent interactions with Mr. Cohen. Last month, one source ran into the president's former lawyer and fixer at Trump Park Avenue, a building in Manhattan where he fittingly owns an apartment. Michael Cohen hates Trump with a passion. They told us in confidence. He made it clear he's out to get Trump and blames him for everything. So we naturally say, what does everything mean? By everything, they meant both legal and financial woes that marked the now disbarred lawyer's fall from power. The family's 10-floor home, combining 3 units, was put up as collateral on April 22nd, 2018, in exchange for millions of dollars in loans for his troubled taxi business, the medallion taxis, folks. It's Donald Trump's fault this idiot has medallions when there's Uber and Lyft, whatever. The bank valued the taxi business at $9 million. Bloomberg reported, as of March 2018, that businesses owned by Mr. Cohen and his wife had owed Sterling National Bank of Montebello upwards of $12.8 million. The loans were secured by New York Taxi Medallion, which lost as much as 80% of its value since the debt was extended in 2014. Bloomberg attributed the decline to Uber and Lyft cutting into the market. But these days, according to 3 sources who spoke with PPD on the condition of anonymity, Mr. Cohen seemingly blames one person for his misfortune. His hatred for Trump burns with the fire of 1,000 suns, adding that it's largely unreported but well known Robert Mueller threatened to jail Mr. Cohen's wife over bank fraud involving the loans, the New York Taxi Medallions. Another source corroborated the legal exposure surrounding Cohen's wife and Mr. Mueller, claiming the special counsel threatened her with 30 years if he didn't cooperate with the prosecutors at the Southern District of New York. So Robert Mueller basically came, vetted his situation, found he lied. All right, they misrepresented financial records to get these loans. Much of it, if not all of it, was in his wife's name. And Robert Mueller said, if you do not sit down with us and turn against Trump, we will throw your wife in jail. He vetted it. He saw there was not much he could connect to the special counsel investigation. So he kicked it to the Southern District of New York, who was doing other things that were out of the purview of the special counsel. And there Mr. Cohen has sat along with the Manhattan District Attorney after the SDNY found nothing. The Manhattan District Attorney, who's been running on jailing Trump for years, the last 2, have now taken everyone's sloppy, not even seconds, sloppy thirds and fourths and fifths. So after Robert Mueller found this guy's worthless, after the Southern District of New York found this guy is worthless, the DA calls him in 16 times. Maybe because, unlike the Southern District of New York and Robert Mueller, even Andrew Weissman, and when Andrew Weissman doesn't want to risk what little credibility he has left on his reputation, then you really must be scraping the bottom of the barrel at the Manhattan District Attorney's office. Gone are the days of Law and Order and Fred over there, right? As recently as January, Mr. Cohen privately boasted about his role to take down President Trump. He's out to get him. Another person who recently exchanged words with Mr. Cohen in Lenox Hill. These two were talking in the hallway outside the apartment, folks. This is a very bitter man, someone who is known for being vicious and vindictive. Despite his testimony under oath on Wednesday, Mr. Cohen's about face on his former boss began when he was overlooked for a position in the White House. He thought he was going to be let me explain something to everybody. He thought he was going to be the White House chief of staff under Donald Trump. He did. Here's the whole story that CNN and MSNBC won't tell you. He thought Trump was going to appoint him the White House chief of staff. Then when that became clear that was not going to happen, he basically begged him for some other role in the White House. He didn't get it because that's not what he's good for. We all know the limitations of Mr. Cohen's talents. He's not a good lawyer. He is somebody you put between you and a body. That's it. Because he's generally viewed to be grimy anyway. So if anything comes back on you, it's not like, Mr. Cohen's reputation will suffer much more. So he was delusional. He thought he was going to end up in the White House. He was pissed when he didn't get a job. Pissed. In his testimony before the committee, and he lied during his testimony. He claimed to be fulfilled serving as a personal attorney to the President of the United States. When asked by Jim Jordan, Republican Ohio, if he sought a role in the Trump administration and was bitter when he didn't receive it, he denied both. Mr. Cohen denied both. That answer was immediately disputed by me and several others, but it was unbelievable that the media let him get away with this when everybody, like my tweet at the time said, everyone in media knew he lied under oath. Mr. Cohen just testified under oath he was content being lawyer to the President of the United States and wasn't mad he was not plucked for a job at the White House. I tweeted at the time. Everyone in media knows that is 100% beep. The tweet, which refers specifically to Mr. Cohen vying for the position of Chief of Staff, was confirmed by numerous outlets to include CNN, who now has on panels. Ultimately, President Trump named Reince Priebus, a development that came as no shock to those who know Mr. Cohen. Cohen always, just want to make sure, he, meaning Cohen, always had the ambition to play a larger role in Trump's circle, one of the sources said. But he just never had the talent. Basically, all he's good at is being a bully, a thug. It sounded as if he expected Trump to overlook that. And when he didn't, he felt slighted. And I'm going to give you more, actually, than this story. Prosecutors for the Southern District of New York also contradicted Mr. Cohen's account in their sentencing memo. Again, folks, when Mueller kicked it to the SDNY, and they thought, maybe we can use this schmuck, right? They caught him in several lies. In several lies. He was deemed by the Southern District to be a filthy liar who cannot be used as a witness against somebody else. So excuse me if I don't think, well, this is a serious indication that they're going to levy criminal charges against Trump. They've been trying to levy criminal charges against the man for years. Everyone has. What it is more likely a sign of is that he's met with them on 16 different occasions, and on every damn occasion, he has said something that is not true and did not jive when they went and investigated it to corroborate it. But they're rabid ideologues who cannot let it go. They don't have the luxury, or I would say Robert Mueller and Andrew Weissman and the SDNY did not have the luxury of being able to put ideology completely first, even in the face of somebody who lacks credibility as much as Mr. Cohen. Here's what the SDNY wrote in their sentencing memo. During and after the campaign, Cohen privately told friends and colleagues, including in seized text messages, that he expected to be given a prominent role and title in the new administration. The SDNY allowed Mr. Cohen to plead to campaign finance violations involving a $130,000 payment to Stephanie Clifford, we all know, the porno actress known as Stormy Daniels. They hoped to tie the, quote, hush payment to Mr. Trump, who reimbursed Mr. Cohen for the payment. In exchange for his cooperation, Mr. Cohen walked on more serious charges of tax evasion and bank fraud that are completely unrelated to the president. This is the thing. All of these people they investigated, they did, and then ended up prosecuting, hoping to coerce their testimony into something they could use against Trump, were never charged with anything related to Donald Trump. Paul Manafort, all down the line. Why would you charge Paul Manafort and not Tony Podesta? Tony Podesta is guilty 10 times more than Paul Manafort of everything you charge Paul Manafort with, which is tax evasion, FARA violations. It was a, quote, revolving door at the Podesta Group for Mr. Manafort at one time, including elements that are Russian friendly. Anyway, they allowed him to plea, and then obviously what happened, folks? What happened at the Southern District of New York that they didn't ever charge Donald Trump using the information Mr. Cohen told them that he had? What is it that the Manhattan District Attorney has found all these years later Even though Cohen has nothing to do with Donald Trump and hasn't for years. 6 years. He wouldn't know a damn thing anymore. If found valuable to the SDNY, Mr. Cohen's testimony before the House Oversight Committee could also be construed as cooperation and used to lessen whatever sentencing penalties he may face in the future. But obviously, they did not find him to be valuable, did they? Maybe after the first or second time that they went to corroborate something that he gave them and it didn't pan out, they just kicked his ass to the curb. Wednesday was supposed to be a win-win for Mr. Cohen and House Democrats. Representative Jordan argued the hearing was meant to provide a justification for the effort to impeach President Trump, then President Trump, an effort spearheaded and funded by the left-wing billionaire Tom Steyer, who, sound familiar, ended up doing what? Made impeachment a litmus test, blah, blah, blah. We all know how this goes. Now here we are. Lanny Davis, the longtime lawyer for the Clintons, who at that time now represented Mr. Cohen, has supported impeachment for more than a year at this point. But the hearing on Wednesday resulted in a 6-point referral for criminal prosecution of his client instead. No kidding. What was among that? Lying under oath. Among the stated reasons for the referral were lying under oath about Mr. Cohen's failed bid for a job in the Trump administration, lobbying on behalf of a foreign government in violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act. What kind of an idiot puts his client in front of Congress and allows him to lie like that? Apparently the same kind of idiots who hold a panel after the 16th meeting with the district attorney. This is, folks, this is so freaking unserious. But sadly, they're not like federal prosecutors if they want to be. They could simply do whatever they want. Of course, they want to indict him, although I don't think it would hurt him at all. Do you think at all, and Rumble is getting better. I was looking at the YouTube chat back and forth. Indeed, they are. Rumble's looking much better. I noticed that myself. That last update was awesome. But in any event, do you think that they are willing to let it ride on Joe Biden in the Midwest again? And do you think the Midwest would give a damn if some elitist from New York City indicted Donald Trump? Do you think anybody would give a crap about that? There is the argument they're trying to use that if he does get indicted by one of these people, that they'll somehow use that as a pretext to prevent him from running for president. Robert Barnes has done a great job eviscerating that. It's very difficult to make that case. I really don't see the argument in the Constitution. I'll try to wrap some of your questions into this today. And I got to do it myself, so excuse me if it's a little tough, but I got to do it myself because I got to do, sorry, my son is, which ties into what I was just telling you. I got to do it myself because it says it's 80, but it says it's 80, buddy. I'll put it to 85. Yeah, in a nutshell, Laura is with my daughter, so I'm doing this on my own today. And, it's daddy time. So it's a little difficult to do it all at once, but I'm going to make it happen. We're going to get to the Murdoch story really soon. Yeah, I see that. I'll read that headline right now because it's already 12:30. The segment's over. We got to move on from Michael Cohen, the schmuck. I just had to clear the record because this idea, folks, that he is like somehow redeeming himself and this is what it looks like when a man takes responsibility for his actions. What a load of crap. What a load of crap. This is what it looks like when a man tries to save his own skin. This is what it looks like when a man is caught lying under oath. This is what it looks like when a man is guilty of a lot more crimes than he was ever prosecuted for, but rabid ideologues who are supposed to be upholding justice don't care about all that and want to pin some fake crime on his former boss because they don't want him to be the president again because they don't agree with him ideologically. Cicero would have a field day with this crap, man. the one lonely voice in Rome at the time who recognized the distortion of justice like you're seeing right now in the United States of America, corruption, and they didn't listen to him, actually. So it all went down. It all went downhill. K1, which one? The Jubilee? Whoops. The Jubilee or the 800? I like them both. Yeah, and just thank you for, and I got a lot of messages from you guys about the kid. Thank you for that. He is good. He just has to be observed. We thought he was going to have a reaction to something, like a bad one. Like it was kind of serious. But they observed him, and it didn't happen. I just need to keep my eyes on him. But yeah. Scary stuff because, when it's a little one, because there's nothing you can do, right? And all you have to do is wait. And it blows. It does. Yeah, I love them both. I was like kind of feeling like I was cheating when I got the Jubilee. I felt like really bad about it. I felt like I was cheating on my wife with the 800. That's how guilty I felt. But the truth is, back in like 1992 or something, I know I'm dating myself. Oh no, it wasn't 92. I mean like 99, maybe something like that. I had a 1992 customed 800, which was really what a Silver Jubilee was, but they only made them for a few years. So a lot of people would try to get that lead channel out of the 800, and it was just like a crazy version of an 800. And I couldn't find it for a while. And now Marshall just reissued those Jubilees. It's not even really a reissue, this one, because it's a mini. And if I would have gotten the 100 half stack or something, I don't need. I'm a dad. I'm not a rock star. This is the 20 watt, which you can reduce to 5. Technology has changed since I was that young, and 20 watts can be so loud your neighbors are pissed. So basically, it's not a reissue because they never did a mini. And when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, that's it. And as soon as I plugged it in, turned it on, I was like, man, that's it. And so I still use the 800 for certain things. It's got that crunch, that not much else can get you. But the Jubilee K1, man, that lead channel is off the chart. Plus, it has great cleans. And I don't really have clean. I don't have a clean channel. I have to use a chorus pedal for clean because I use, I'll show you. I use Alnico 2s, K1. They're the Alnico 2 Pros, Seymour Duncan. And it is clean, but it's not clean like a Saturday Night Special is clean. It's not clean like a Custom Bucker is clean. It still has a crunch in it, especially if it's running through any of those Marshalls. So the Jubilee has a nice clean channel. It's almost like 3. And it makes those Alnico 2s sound a little brighter because they're mid-range Alnico 2s. 20 is more than enough these days. I totally agree. Way more. And if let's say I wanted to gig somewhere, I could. It's still loud. It's so loud. My neighbor was like, Jesus, man, the other night. That was sweet child of mine. I'm like 3 houses away. I can hear it. Chill out. I did hear about this, Danielle, and I'm going to look this up and we'll talk more about it. Somebody texted it to me, or no, shared it on Getter maybe, or Twitter. Was one of them. Could have been truth. I don't remember, but I did see it, and I'll have to look it up because that's some interesting stuff. Unbelievable. You could have like some Netflix documentary on right now and Vice, and they still talk about it like Trump supporters did this. Like, it's unbelievable. It was Twitter, Danielle. Was that you? Was that you who sent it to me? Can you do it again? It rolls so quick. Or put it in YouTube. Put the link in the YouTube. I'd love to check it out. All right, let's do the NPR let's do the Daily Beast version of this story first, so I can show you the difference in Daily Beast and NPR. But basically, you were the one that tagged me. Thank you for that. I saw it. Let's do that. Let's look at the NPR version after. And it gives a bit more context, even though it's very clearly left-wing. It's giving a bit more context. Fox News hosts are going to be hurt by this, I think. I really do. I think they're going to be hurt by it. And the way that outlets like the Daily Beast are portraying it is simply it's an overreach. Although you will see what some of them texted, without a doubt, it's an overreach. Oh, come on. They blocked me after this. It was up before. All right, so let's use the NPR one, and I'll just explain to you what the difference is. Oh no, here it is. Here it is. Busted through your paywall. Busted through your paywall. Oh no! All right, let's use the NPR one, and then I'll explain to you what the Daily Beast tried to do differently, because I'm not paying for the Daily Beast. If I'm out of articles, I'm out of articles, and there's just no way I'm going to do it. You guys ever try this before? These listens? Let's give this a crack here.
I want to rewind now back to November 2020, election night. Millions of people were.
Is that's not really what it said, right? No. Unless I'm no. Okay. So here's Judge Pirro. Nice woman, by the way. She's like feisty on air, but I've met her in person and she was super sweet to me. Talked about, you know what we talked about actually? What we were talking about on Wednesday. How once upon a time New York used to be beautiful. Now it's a dump. You think, by the way, it's relevant that East Palestine voted like 70+% for Donald Trump? Anyway, off the air, Fox News stars blasted the election fraud claims they peddled. This is not true. Here's what, I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but what they're doing is focusing on the Dominion lawsuit. Most of the stuff that they blasted, okay, was stuff that was related to Sidney Powell and Mike Lindell and the Dominion stuff. And then this, the votes were sent to Guatemala. I don't even remember. Do you guys remember? The votes were sent overseas to Guatemala. I mean, this stuff that really was off the chain, like crazy. Things that made me take myself out of email threads. Okay. But they're painting all claims with that brush, with the Dominion brush. All right. And they're doing it to hurt the credibility of Fox News, to hurt the credibility of those claims, and to get people who, watch Tucker or still think highly of Tucker to dislike Tucker. Because I can tell you, my own conversations with Tucker, he never bought the machine stuff. That's not what we talked about. We talked about some of the more, like the old fashioned, like Barnes and I always said, the old fashioned electioneering is very different than what, some of these crazy claims were. And maybe in the truth, there are some stuff, with those, like we said, that Dominion failed the inspection and the very rigorous test that Texas conducts before it allows any system to be used in its state. Let me turn this off because I'm going to get bombarded by the girls making me jealous. Girls making me jealous. Anyway, at the time, however, that this is going on, they didn't know. They didn't know whether those claims are credible or not. Nobody inspected Dominion yet. God, wow, they made it. I can't believe they did. That's beautiful. I hope they have a good time. You know what? Fine. Time without daddy. Missing both my girls. What is a man without his women, right? Woman. But anyway, all right, let's read it. In the days and weeks after the 2020 elections. This is what I'm saying. Let's put this back into context here. The Fox News channel, and by the way, Sean Hannity, I'm not going to defend him because I have read Sean's text messages that members of Congress got that sent to me, and I read them loud and clear. He never believed any of it. I mean, he actually was calling Trump names and saying he was crazy and he should stop the stuff. He thought he was like, and sadly, I don't know why Kayleigh McEnany allowed it, but he thought he was like the White House communications manager for a second there or something. Anyway, in the days and weeks after the 2020 elections, the Fox News channel repeatedly broadcast false claims that then President Donald Trump had been cheated of victory. Off the air, the network stars, producers, and executives expressed contempt for those same conspiracies, calling them mind-blowingly nuts, totally off the rails, and completely BS, often in far earthier tones. The network's top primetime stars, Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, and Sean Hannity, texted contemptuously of the claims in group chats, but also denounced colleagues pointing that out publicly or on television. Tucker, again, do we have to remember his contentious interview with Sidney Powell? He never, this is the thing, they're talking about the machine stuff. He never was sold on that. He basically banned her from his show. All right, Ingram called Trump campaign attorney Sidney Powell a bit nuts. Carlson, who famously demanded evidence from Powell on the air, privately used a vulgar epithet for women to describe her. A top network programming executive wrote privately that he did not believe the shows of Carlson, Hannity, and Jeanine Pirro were credible sources of news. Well, no, this is nothing new. This is why this report is very worth noting, because I'm telling you, Fox News is fake conservative. It's not real. The executives who work there, most of them are not real. The producer, I don't know the new producer for Tucker, but I'll tell you, the old one was super cool. It seems like any time that there's like a legit, earnest person, who understands that media is full of crap and that the right is depicted a certain way, they are gone. Shay, gone. All of them are replaced by these fake people like Allison Camerata, and who's the other one from South Carolina who tries to portray Ainsley Earhart, who tries to portray herself like some Southern belle who's conservative and didn't lose her virginity until her wedding night. It's a lie. I have known women who have worked at Fox for years. My blood has boiled with some of the stuff that has come out of them. Some of them were the claims by many of the females at Fox News are absolutely, almost all of them that I know of. Almost all. I don't know about the Bill O'Reilly stuff. I just won't claim to because I don't know. But I can tell you about a lot of others that you have heard and that are private that are true. Bill O'Reilly stuff, I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised. Let me put it that way. One female who was a Trump supporting anchor, or not anchor, I would say personality, was one of the rising up and coming stars. One of my favorites as well, because we share the same national heritage. We're both 50-50 of something, which is a weird combination. And she was constantly spoken to and touched inappropriately. And ultimately, in the end, they would have drummed her out anyway because she actually was loyal to Trump. And that just can't happen. They've been lying about who they are for years. So when they say a top executive quotes that, Carlson and Hannity aren't credible and Jeanine Pirro is not credible, they're all lefties. Of course they don't believe they're credible. Roger Ailes saw a business model that the media as a whole did not speak or represent the values of more than half the damn country. So Fox News was turned into something. Megyn Kelly, Allison Camerata, all of these people were portrayed as like these conservative women, super, super pro-you. They share your values. Megyn Kelly had to go through a huge journey to get to where she is now. Allison Camerata is now spewing BS on the daily on CNN, for crying out loud. Ask Don Smith. Oh, I wish Don was here to tell you guys. We've talked about it on the show before. On one of the Friday shows that we used to do with Don before he packed up the microphone after all these years. He knew Allison well. He met her several times. The woman was a fraud. They're very good actors. But it's good to have a peek into this because, every once in a while, you really got to be reminded of it. Even so, top executives strategized about how to make it up to their viewers among Trump's strongest supporters, which I'm telling you they never did, after Fox News' election night team, get this, correctly called the pivotal state of Arizona for Democratic nominee Joe Biden before other networks. They did not correctly call Arizona. Let's be real here. That was the most irresponsible call. Everyone from the New York Times to the Decision Desk to Steve Kornacki, on down the line. Nobody jumped out on that limb because we all know what the role Fox News played in the 2020 coup. Just like they played in 2018 when they called the House for Democrats when people were still voting. This is a scam that they're running on you. It had to come, both those very controversial, ultimately proven to be true, but they would not have known for sure at that time. Both of those calls had to come from Fox. And why did they do it? Because they hate Trump. That's number one. And number two, they hate you. And they want to get back in the good graces of the people they don't hate, which is their peers. They're elitists in the ruling class and everyone else in media and entertainment. That's who they are. They've been pretending to be the Hallmark Channel of cable news for years. It's a load. Hell, the Hallmark Channel isn't even the Hallmark Channel anymore. It is a fraud. They're selling you a product. It's not real. That call was not correct. It was inexplicable unless you understand why they did it, why it was done. They needed a call, an early call in a Trump must-win state. And if CNN would have done it or anyone else would have done it, nobody would have viewed it to be credible. Republicans, particularly, would not have viewed it to be credible. They had to sell the real big lie they had to sell to you after the election. And somebody had to sell it to 10 to 15% of the Republican Party. At least. So it had to be Fox News. I'm sorry, my kid's over there bellowing. You want to get in on this, Ro? Even Ro's pissed. He's a 3-year-old. He can see it. They strategize. It's remarkable how weak ratings make good journalists do bad things. Bill Salmon, at the time, the network's Washington managing editor, privately wrote on December 2nd, 2020. You know what I got to tell you, Bill? It's amazing how low you'll grovel on your hands and knees trying to get DNC debate money. It's amazing how low you'll go for that. You're not getting those viewers back. You made a decision, you picked your side, and it's over for you now. Some of these people are just never going to get their ratings back. It's never going to happen. Hannity's been getting crushed by MSNBC. They got to get rid of Tucker, though. He's got to go. So they got to put Tucker on the chopping block with the rest of them. Network executives above him stewed over the hit to Fox News' brand among its viewers. Yet, there was little apparent concern other than some inquiries from Fox Corp founder Rupert Murdoch over the journalistic values of fairness and accuracy. Are you serious? With hundreds of thousands of votes still left in Maricopa County, which they knew would be significantly pro-Trump votes, in a state that was ultimately decided by 0.2 of a percentage point, they're going to say that it was fair and accurate to make that call in Arizona? This is a joke. The audience started to erode severely that fall, starting on election night itself. Fox executives and stars equally obsessed over the threat posed by the smaller right-wing network Newsmax. Hannity texted Carlson and Ingram that Fox's Arizona call, quote, destroyed a brand that took 25 years to build and that damage is incalculable. Absolutely, at least he was right about that. Carlson shot back that it was, quote, vandalism. Other hosts, including Dana Perino, were equally shocked. Nobody could justify that call, ladies and gentlemen, to pretend now like it was the right call to make because Joe Biden is the official recorded winner. Let me tell you something. Nobody believes Katie Hobbs beat Carrie Lake either. Just because you write these articles isn't going to change that. Nobody believes that the election suddenly malfunctioned on election day. So whatever these shams, and I wish I could have showed you the Daily Beast because it's even worse. How they completely lump every claim into the computer and defend this. Fox News host Neil Cavuto was attacked by colleagues for pulling his show away from a presentation by then White House spokesman Kayleigh McEnany in which she made unfounded claims of fraud once more. McEnany is now a host on Fox News. I don't remember all the claims she made on them, but it's easy to just lump this all together. Again, they get into the Dominion thing. This is what they care about. These revelations surfaced and were made public late Thursday afternoon as part of Dominion Voting Systems' blockbuster $1.6 billion defamation lawsuit against Fox and its parent company. Dominion sued after Fox hosts and guests repeatedly claimed without evidence that the company had switched Trump votes to Biden. Well, listen, because I even was really in the instance in Michigan, all right, I even was critical of. And I said, after a review of it, I had Matt Brainerd on, and Matt Brainerd and I both walked you through why that was a legitimate accident. But nevertheless, it happened. It was corrected, but in Michigan, it was corrected, but it happened. So to pretend like that, that's not what they mean here. They're obfuscating, all of these things together. And it's tragic. It's tragic because I knew this was going to happen. Barnes and I both said this, screamed it at the top of our lungs. And Fox News hosts are going to pay a price for not having the courage to separate out what was legitimate criticism and what was not. And I actually think it's unfair to Tucker that that's going to happen because, having me on to talk about one end of this and how I was eviscerated from social media for even looking into those claims, because they knew I had the resources and the tools to really look at it in a way that not even PolitiFact or the New York Times can do. I mean, the Times can do it if they allocate some money toward it, but they don't have vendor relationships and software that I have. They just don't have it. They could get it if they wanted, I imagine. But they went to even when they tried to do their own, their voter file, I'm going to leave it alone. But in any event, it's just unbelievable. This Arizona thing pisses me off so much. But I think if you guys didn't watch Barnes's a locals video that he did last night, it was interesting because it's amazing how when the right files these defamation suits, okay? So for how many years did MSNBC, Rachel Maddow and others, how many years did they claim repeat without, and the amount of times is impossible to count. No montage could put together every single time MSNBC, CNN, or any other network or any other paper claimed without evidence that Donald Trump was illegitimate because he stole the election from Hillary Clinton in 2016. Even Hillary Clinton to this day still says it. They all pushed a lie that they knew was a lie. They had no evidence of the lie, and yet nobody remedies anything. Nobody does nothing. You try to sue the third-party contractor who helps Maricopa run elections and disrupts chains of command with Ballard, which is just crazy to me, by the way. I didn't even know that there was a third-party contractor there, let alone that they're run by liberals. And you don't get any remedy. And the judge doesn't let you depose anybody. And nothing serious ever happens. Here, even though Rupert, excuse me, I don't want to even do that damage to Roger Ailes and make that mistake. Here, Rupert Murdoch is actually pushing back, and yet they get full reign of Rupert Murdoch. Well, that's what happens when you own politicians in 40-something states? That's what happens when these people rely on you to administer elections because you sold them proprietary stuff they know nothing about. And they have no knowledge about anything, whether or not Dominion is credible or not. They wouldn't even know. All right, the material presented in the remarkable 178-page brief reflects that there were no illusions that there was heft to the allegations of election fraud, even among those Fox figures who gave the most intense embrace to Trump allies peddling those lies. Instead, Dominion's attorneys paint a portrait of inner turmoil, angst, and the angst at the news network. Dominion has mischaracterized the record, and honestly, the Fox News response is absolutely right. And NPR is doing what Fox News has accused Dominion of doing right now because they're carrying water for Dominion. And they're carrying water for the left. Dominion has mischaracterized the record, cherry-picked quotes, stripped of key context, and spilled considerable ink on facts that are irrelevant under black letter principles of defamation law. And what NPR is doing right now, what the Daily Beast is doing right now, what everybody else who is reporting on it is doing right now is the same damn thing. They are cherry-picking quotes and applying it to the entire claim, not separating out Dominion from drop boxes to signature verification to whether or not one Secretary of State or one supervisor of election had the unilateral authority in the first place to expand vote by mail into unsolicited, unverified vote by mail for the first time ever in these states. And whether or not the state was even capable of administering such an election with credibility. That all goes out the window because of some of the claims, especially early on, that we knew were going to be, that we're not going to hold up to scrutiny and were going to be used by the media and the Democratic Party and the cartel, let's just call it the cartel, to paint everyone with the same brush and to demonize anyone who makes any claims, period. Neil Cavuto, who goes on now to like Tika, he's like taking a bow, like, and his people, they want you to know that Neil was the only principled one. Neil is a screw the poor, start a war, Romney Rhino Republican. He's not even a Republican. And I don't know why it took me all these years to be able to figure out how to characterize the Republican Party that's non-MAGA Republican Party, not even non-America First Republicans. Because pre these people, which represents the vast majority of the history of the Republican Party was the party of America First. After these people, circa 2016, they went back to being the people they were between roughly the years of 1990, maybe 92, to, if I'm fair to Herbert Walker Bush, which I don't really see any reason to be. He's a liar. Read my lips. No new taxes, right? America First Republicans don't slap taxes on poor people so you can wage war against the country who had a legitimate grievance. The Kuwaitis were stealing their oil. They were drilling on an angle underneath their border. Anyway, Republican 1990, let's say, to 2016, that's the Neil Cavuto Republican, the Mitt Romney Republican, the John McCain Republican, the George Bush, worst president in the history of the United States, I think. I really do think George W. Bush was the worst president, not just in modern history, but American history. He is really in the running for that. If you consider what he did to us, the beginning of the debt, destabilizing our economy, creating the worst foreign policy blunder in the history of the Republic. Iraq was the biggest mistake I've seen any president make. Upset the balance of power, which we've never been. He squandered our super hegemony. He squandered it. So much for the peace dividend. George Bush comes around and that's it. Starts a war in Iraq over what? Terrorists in Afghanistan you could have killed with the CIA and Green Berets and some Navy SEALs. That is the screw the poor, start a war party. That is not the Republican Party. And I cannot believe that it took me that long to figure out a good phrase for it, but that is it. Screw the poor, start a war. Which Nikki Haley, who we're going to look at in a minute, is doing a great job of representing. Day 2 already. I mean, that interview was just a complete, folks, it was a complete and total embarrassment. And then today, she spends her time basically talking about how we need to start a war with Russia over Ukraine. They need more work. They need more help. And, if you're not if you're not, whoa. Even in the Reuters Ipsos poll, I got to tell you, Nikki Haley is getting her ass kicked to Biden, 12 points. You know what? It's an hour in. I want to talk more about the political aspect of this. So I am going to, you guys get my point. And I hate to say I told you so, but Barnes and I told you so, that this was going to happen. And now here it is. Fox News is going to take a hit from it, but it is what it is. All right, let's do these reads. Let's get to this. And I really, really want to get to the polling stuff so we can have time for Q&A. All right. Junk science. That's what my doctor called many of those fruit and vegetable supplements that I tried showing her. Junk science because they use extracts. They have common produce, the common produce department, fruits and vegetables with few health benefits. And that I take Field of Greens because it's the whole organic fruit and vegetable, not a watered down supplement. And it is backed by the Better Health Promise. Each ingredient in Field of Greens was chosen to support vital organs, your heart, lungs, kidney health. Others support my immune system, blood pressure, my metabolic system, and healthy weight loss. I don't eat as healthy as I should, even though Laura and I both try to do 3 squares a day. You need 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And that's why I take Field of Greens. Like me, you probably look and feel healthier fast and have way more energy. But the best proof will be at your next checkup when your doctor says, whatever you're doing, it's working, so keep it up. Let's get started today with 15% off. Go to fieldofgreens.com. Use the promo code TPP for the People's Pundit. Again, that's promo code TPP at fieldofgreens.com, and that'll get you started with 15% off today. All right. Me, I'm a lemon lime guy. Laura's berry guy. You tell me what you are, and we'd love to hear about it. Fieldofgreens.com, promo code TPP. You can also get 10% off using the promo code TPP. Let's keep it simple, right? If you go to my friends, Patriots at Jam and Bean. All right. I'm a K-Pod guy, but I also like to grind my own. I like to grind good beans that I know were well roasted. Roasting coffee is an art form, and the guys at Jam and Bean are artists. All right. But if you need convenience like me, then you can definitely grab their medium roast K-Pod, because I'm here to tell you, I've tried them all. They're all garbage. It's just dark roast, a little less of it, with a little spongy thing in the bottom of your K-Pod that is doing God knows what to you when hot water passes through it and you ingest it. This is the only real medium roast that you will taste after you pop that K-Pod in that is full body. But of course, everything that comes bagged up, once you open that bag, you will see what I'm telling you is true. This isn't roasting. This is artwork. All right. Oh, guys, see that I got the new popcorn? The popcorn, the gourmet popcorn, is absolutely fantastic. And we're not talking about a lot of money here. All right. Use promo code TPP. The link's in the description. It's jamandbean.com. Jamandbean.com. All right. Again, Patriots in Michigan. If you want to support good people, great country, great company, this would be your chance to do it. God, that looks like the buffalo. I got the buffalo. It looks delicious. I got to tell you, I'm dying to eat this thing. But I'm like, what am I going to have if I eat it? I'm dying. This is dill. They sent me dill. You know what? Let's eat it live. Let's do an unbagging. Laura's like, what? You're going to eat it all. All right? You're going to eat my live set. And I'm like, but I haven't had the dill yet. Let's try the dill. Smell it? Oh, amen. That's yummy. Nico. Oh, he's probably out. One more. Oh my God, it's good. Jamandbean.com. TPP. Oh my God. That's so good. I may like that better than the sour cream and chives. Oh, I don't know, guys. That's up there. Whoa, that's good. Woo! And I'm telling you, it's all natural. The popcorn, it's all natural. So you know when you're biting into it that you're not eating crap ingredients. All right. This isn't some like Field of Greens. This isn't some extract or powder of something. These are real legit ingredients that they put in their product, and it is absolutely, my God, that was good. I'm going to eat that whole bag after the show. Sorry, Laura. All right, let's get to some of the polling. Let's get to first, and I did it. This is like on locals. You get embargoed polls and stuff. You know what? Let me do it through my locals. When I go to click on it, it's a little small. I get it earlier, and then locals is always the first to get embargoed polls that people share with me. They just tell me put it on locals, but please don't share it everywhere until we've had a chance to publish it. All right, so here we go. Okay, so Rasmussen, boom. Okay, and sorry, I tried to click on that quick for people who send me personal messages and don't want it to be seen. All right, impression of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. He's got a pretty good, not bad. I mean, for someone who's not really known, the 7 is not sure, which means he is his favorability, his image is getting a little bit higher. Okay. This is everyone, but if you look just at Republicans, Trump has a 13-point lead among. Can you guys see this so much? Oh, you didn't see. Okay, well then that's fine, because what I did was share something that you guys probably would not have wanted me to show. All right, but let's look at it. All right, so his image now. I'm curious when we do our polling whether or not DeSantis is going to be as well known. These are likely voters. We will be doing registered and likely, and we'll eventually show you, likely voters are more high interest voters at this point in time. And a lot of people may not even know they're going to vote for the president in 2024, but they don't really know about the governor of Florida right now. So I'm curious. That is down in Rasmussen's, and it's an apples to apples comparison. So I'm wondering whether or not his image is becoming more well known. 41% unfavorable is not horrible. He's positive, and that's not bad. However, he's got a 4-point lead over Trump when you're looking at all voters, but a Republican primary is not going to be all voters. And I really wish they would have put it here by education. It is, let me see. I don't know why I didn't think about this. I do get some stuff you guys don't see on Rasmussen, and it's possible I have that. So hold on. We all talk, or at least most of us talk and shoot it. But Trump has a lead among primary voters by 13 points. All right. So these things haven't changed. They're saying things haven't changed much since last April. Why does this matter? Because you can see there the impact of things like education. The entire electorate is going to be more educated, right, than the rest of the Republican primary electorate. Here we go. So if you look by education, all right, attended high school but did not graduate. Trump leads by 18. Wow, Trump's thumping him among high school graduates. But again, I'm not surprised. Attended college but did not graduate. DeSantis has an 8-point lead. I wonder about associate degrees, which we're gonna how we put it. We have a very, very detailed. We do less than high school, like pre or secondary or voc. Then we do high school or GED. Then we do some college or associate degree. Then we do the 4-year degree. Then we do advanced degrees. All right, and then obviously we lump them together. Postgraduate, undergraduate. Separate, pre or high school or less, we'll put them together. So I'll expand it out. And what's interesting to me is that DeSantis has more support in this poll among people who just called themselves college graduates, right? He's leading 33-19, with 37% saying they'd vote for someone else and 10% saying they don't know. And why am I I'm wondering whether or not that's legit. That's true. Graduate school. And it is true. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying, would it bear out like that when the vote came? Graduate school, DeSantis only leads by 6, and it's low, 29-23, with 40% saying someone else. It's obviously a very, very, very small portion of the Republican electorate. But very interesting, isn't it? When you look at just Republicans overall, Trump is obviously doing better with Republicans. He's leading 45 to 32. There's a bigger, how could I put it? I guess you know how I could say it is that if you look at only Republicans, you can see Trump has a little bit better of a lead. Oh man, you guys aren't seeing this. You're seeing the wrong thing, aren't you? Yeah, you are. Crap. All right, let me show you this. Okay, this should pop up. Okay, so here we go. If we pop down here, you can see Trump leads with black voters. DeSantis leads with white voters overall, but not by much. And then other Trump leads. And if it was just Republicans, that's going to be a big deal. Here we go. You can see the big difference in education and how that impacts the race, this overall race. Let me get rid of the Michael Cohen story and stuff to make this go a little bit faster for you guys. Are you an entrepreneur? Yes. Trump, 34. DeSantis, 23. Are you employed in a private company? Then DeSantis leads pretty significantly, 41 to 24. Are you retired? It's tied. Other, 29 for Trump, 21 for DeSantis. Do you strongly approve of Biden? Then DeSantis leads among those who strongly approve, period. He leads among those who approve of Biden. If you disapprove of Biden, especially somewhat disapprove, this was a problem category for Republicans in 2022 and ultimately did prove to be. They just couldn't close the deal. Then Trump that's his biggest chunk right there. And they're about even, since a small edge among strongly disapprove, but not much. Interesting. Do you have an impression? Very unfavorable, somewhat unfavorable. DeSantis still leads among those who have some. Trump just leads among those who have a somewhat favorable by such a big margin. It overcomes the rest of it. If you want DeSantis to run for president, then obviously you're 65-18 for DeSantis. If you do not, you're 29-6 for Trump. If you're not sure, you're 32-18 for Trump. That's a little bit of a weakness there for Trump. It is. And the rest is obvious. By age group, again, Trump leads by among younger voters, and then 65 plus is basically tied. But DeSantis has a lead with 40 to 64. This is Trump's little secret weapon here. And if he can get these people to vote, like I was saying with Charlie Kirk, those non-white, non-college, the working class, the people I was just talking about the other day when I was in at the car dealership, these are working class people. They are not white, and they would vote for Trump, but they would not vote for, just any Republican. And they're young. They're in their working prime. That's Trump's little secret weapon, if he can get them out. If he can. The mic is breaking. All right, hang tight, okay? Hang tight. It may not be the mic. It may be something else that I got to X out. Does the mic sound better if I get rid of the screen? Does it? Somebody get locals. Can you give me a little yes or no? Yeah. I see Blondie typing. How's it sound, Blondie? Let me restart my thing. You tell me you type while I do it. All right. It's when I share it. You guys, am I back now? Right? I'm back now, right? It's the every time I go to share something with you, it's muting me. I knew it. So how am I going to send this to you? Okay, so I just sent the link. Check out the link. If you didn't hear me, what I was saying was, and this is surprising to me, because the Reuters Ipsos panel is not a panel that reaches working class people very well. It's just not. That's a clear problem. They have a lot. But Trump and DeSantis both have a 3-point lead on Biden. However, Trump has a slightly higher level of support. Trump thumps Biden when Cheney runs. And I told everybody from the beginning, which I got pushback on, that Cheney running will not derail Trump. It will work like it will work against Biden like Ross Perot worked against Herbert Walker Bush. He will crush Biden if Cheney runs. And maybe I should just shut up, and not let him have it. Nikki Haley is getting killed. She is down by 12 points, 43-31. Listen, I got to tell you that it really does look to me like no candidate is going to be at 31. It's possible that people just don't care at all at this point, and just don't give a crap, and that's really what it comes down to. And they're just not thinking that much about it. But if you would have put Nikki Haley Republican, right, maybe you would have gotten more. But then again, I don't know. We did Gavin Newsom, Democrat, remember? And Gavin Newsom got 30, 31. It was bad. Yeah, speaking of Nikki Haley, I want to show this because the fact of the matter is, and Coulter will be on Timcast. Oh, that should be good. There's no, here we go. Ooh, I got it. Hold on. Let me mute this so it doesn't blast in your ear. All right. I can't do it like that. I'm trying not to mute myself, but there's no, I don't know if you read Kurt Schlichter's column, No to Nikki Harris or something. I think he nailed it, and he nailed it perfectly. That why she doesn't have any real support. She doesn't. And there's no lane for her. Oh my God, look at this face. Look at this face. I Should I just leave it there? This is 1:30. I'm going to roll this clip. There is no appetite for this in America, and there damn sure is not a big appetite for it in the Republican Party. This is going back to screw the poor, start a war. Are you ready? Oh my God, this woman is a woman of a million faces. Maybe my friend Steve Cortez is right. He said, this isn't hyperbole. I seriously mean this. She has all of the ambition of Lucifer, but none of the principles. And I just lost it when I heard him say that the other day to Bannon. All right, let's go.
We have the backs of our friends, and we hold our enemies to account. And, whether it's Ukraine or Israel, we take care of them because it's about freedom. And we can never stop fighting for freedom.
There is that populist strain and a lot of MAGA that wants the Ukraine gravy train, financially and otherwise, to stop. And even there's a growing Republican growing Republican support to say, wait a minute, checks and balances here. What are we doing giving all this money to Ukraine? Where do you come down on the money, on the military, whether it be fighter jets, X, Y, and Z?
Biden was slow to the take. Yeah. He should have given Ukraine what they needed right when this started, and we'd be in a totally different place right now. This isn't a war about Ukraine. This is a war about freedom. And I don't think we need to put troops on the ground. I don't think we need to write them blank checks. But they have the passion to fight for their own freedom. Give them the ammunition to do it. Get with our NATO allies and say, hey, we're not the only ones. You've got to do it too. And let them win this fight. But I'll tell you what, if they win this fight, you won't hear anything from Russia, China, or Iran. If they lose this fight, Russia's not going to stop at Ukraine. They're going to go into Poland and the Baltics, and we've got to.
That's such bull. That is such bull. Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the book club, ladies and gentlemen. Please learn more about foreign policy so you don't believe what are called myths of empire. That is such a scam. He is not going into Poland and this one and that one. He is reacting to a Western power putting a bulwark on his border. Just like we would react if he came over across from Niagara Falls and parked his ass in Canada. If they suddenly became a satellite state of Russia. I hate myths. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. But before I even continue with this, she's going on and on and on, okay? On and on about how this is about freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no freedom in Ukraine. When Vladimir Zelensky imprisons his political enemies, when he bans media who don't parrot his government's talking points, this is crap. This idea that Zelensky and this is about freedom. There is no freedom in Ukraine. They don't uphold Western values. Such a scam, man. By the way, there are actually a slew of other polls that have come out that I was, while I'm listening to her, I'm trying to basically see whether or not it's, it's in line with Rasmussen. And it is. In fact, the New Morning Consult poll actually shows Trump's favorability better than DeSantis's, which is something, I would expect. And in the head-to-head, Trump still leads in the nomination head-to-head. Crowded field and head-to-head, he still leads. There's also another poll out of South Carolina. He leads. I told you that poll in South Carolina showing DeSantis up was bull. Total bull. The primary electorate in South Carolina, you cannot get with 300 sample size. That's number one. Number two, it's not going to be that educated. And it's not just the total number of educated. It was the percentage of the educated that was advanced educated, meaning post-grads, doctorates, lawyers, whatever, right? All right, let's listen to the 15 seconds of this idiot. And excuse me, I don't mean to call names. Just, I am going, any one of these candidates that run for president has an open invite on Inside the Numbers. It doesn't have to just be Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis, who I imagine we'll both have on. We will be fair to you. So you have an open invitation. It's just we are going to make sure whoever comes on, if you tell, a lie, I don't care if you're the former president, you're the governor of Florida, or you're the former governor of South Carolina, I'm going to call you out on it if you tell, something, and I'm going to push back. But there is no freedom in Ukraine. They are not a champion of Western values and freedom, and they damn sure aren't going to be the last. They aren't the defenders of Western Europe, the last men standing. And if they go down, Putin's going to roll back over parts of friggin' Berlin or something, like the wall's going back up. Putin is not an expansionist, contrary to what everyone thinks. All right, let's roll the last 15 seconds.
World war on our hands. We have to make sure we send a message to every enemy that if you mess with our friends, you're messing with us, and you don't want to do that.
And that, therefore, is America first, in essence.
It is taking.
Oh my God. Stop it. Just stop it. You sound ridiculous. I got to get this. Just stop. I'm done. Just stop it. Knock it off, Nikki Harris. Knock it off. Kurt, we should have had Kurt Schlichter on today to talk about that. Kurt is a good guy. He's one of my staples that I read because he nails it. He nails it crystal clear, loud and clear, that this is an ambitious woman with a less than mediocre record. She did not prove to be tough. She basically followed Trump's instructions at the bare minimum. She hit the minimum bar of being someone pretty decent in the Trump administration, but she now has proven herself to be a liar. Twice, not once, but twice. She actually said she would not run if Donald Trump was running. She would never run against my president, she said. One, when he actually gave her a nice farewell when she was leaving the White House. He gave her a nice send-off. He did. because she was someone who didn't like always screw him over and stab him in the back, like Mike Pompeo, for instance. But again, it was the bare minimum that she did that. And she was clearly more hawkish than the president actually was. I don't think anyone can argue that. She wouldn't know what America First was if it hit her in the back. This is reminiscent of Mitt Romney saying, I'm severely conservative. This is the same thing. They don't know what they're talking about. They're just pretending to be something they're not. So they don't know the nomenclature, and they don't convince you when they say it because it's not real, because they're fake. This woman has nothing but ambition in her. That's it. When the mob came for the flag, she caved. She caved in a second. Forget about those, dirty white Southerners that actually elected you, Nikki. You're right. All of a sudden, it's a symbol of hate and racism. It can't just be part of someone's culture. And I'm not from the South. It wasn't my friggin' hill to die on. But you never give in to the mob because it's never enough. If Nikki Haley didn't pull down that flag, then maybe they wouldn't be pulling down statues right now. Since she pulled down that flag, how many statues have they removed in South Carolina? How many? She is Jeb 2.0, right? Who's Bush with heels, without a doubt. Unbelievable. So much for standing up to the mob. There's nothing about her that says that she has any principles, or she has aspirations, and she has goals, and she has ambition. That's it. A lot of people asking about Ohio, better than me spouting off about it. I have been trying to ask JD Vance what he's been able to find out. I did not talk to him yesterday, but then I saw he did appear on Tucker. So for those of you asking about Ohio, let me roll, because I would just have deferred to JD Vance anyway. I've been taking stuff from what he's learning. So far, he's got the best information and response yet. So let's roll with this, and let's hear him on Tucker. I think it's a couple of minutes, not much, but I think JD will be the one to answer those questions better than me. Tragedy, I will tell you this. If this was a Republican president, and all of these derailments were happening, and, God forbid, because this happened in an area that's like Trump plus 30, all right? If it, God forbid, was in an urban area and black precincts, look at what they did with Flint, even though, they made it political, even though Flint, obviously, again, who runs these places, not Republicans, yet somehow it was still Republicans' fault. They would bury a Republican president over this story. All right, let me mute and let's hear JD.
In East Palestine, Ohio, for nearly 2 weeks. The Biden administration now says the area is totally safe, just as long as you're wearing a hazmat suit, or better yet, as long as you don't actually visit it. All the dead fish and the chlorine smell in the air, whatever, totally normal. Your nose does not know. JD Vance is a senator from the state of Ohio. He's also from Ohio, and he had some questions. So he went to East Palestine, which seemed like a pretty simple step. A lot of people can't manage it, but he did. And after visiting, he challenged the EPA administrator, Michael Regan, to drink a glass of tap water in the town of East Palestine. Weirdly, Michael Regan has not accepted that challenge. We are grateful to have Senator JD Vance of Ohio.
I just got to say, was that or was that not brilliant? Then you drink the water, sir. Then you drink the water. Brilliant.
Ohio with us tonight. Senator, thanks so much for coming on. I mean, I notice a lot of the people who are reassuring us about how fine East Palestine is don't really want to go there. In fact, they've avoided going there. Do you think Regan will drink the tap water?
I don't suspect that he will, Tucker. And a lot of residents, unfortunately, are not comfortable drinking the tap water either. And it's easy not to see why, Tucker. The thing that I came away from after visiting today is that, one, residents are very, very scared, obviously, but they are also not getting answers from their authorities about exactly what's going on, what's being done to clean up the disaster. And on that point in particular, Tucker, the railroad has completely failed to clean up the toxic soil that's leaking into the riverways, into the waterways, and into the groundwater. So there's this question about testing and whether we're testing the water enough. The question that I have is, why haven't they cleaned up the contaminated soil that's going to eventually contaminate the groundwater no matter what?
So you've been criticized for suggesting that maybe people who are still in East Palestine drink bottled water. And that's scaremongering, because apparently we should just follow the science and do what we're told. Why would someone criticize you for counseling caution?
I have no idea, Tucker. I think that there's a complete refusal to deal with the fact that a lot of residents are freaked out on the ground. Obviously, people want to get back to their lives. They also want to know that they're safe. And the thing that's very clear, if you talk to the EPA, if you talk to the CDC, they cannot tell us what a clean threshold is for the water. So on the one hand, you have to measure the water to know how much of this contaminant is in it. On the other hand, you have to know at what level the contaminant is low enough that it's clean water, that it's safe for humans to drink. We've been completely unable to get a good answer from any federal authorities to that question. And if I can't get that answer, and I'm a United States Senator, that suggests that the people of East Palestine who want to be cautious have every right to do it. The simple fact is, Tucker, that unless we go in and study the effect of vinyl chloride on human beings, we're never going to be able to say with confidence what is going to happen to the residents of East Palestine. They want to rebuild their community. They want to get back to normal life, but they can't do it unless the government does its job.
That's right. By the way, if you say you're an environmentalist and care about the environment, you should care about the air and the soil and the water. Climate is not the environment, I would say. JD,
What was that? Let's back that up.
I would say. JD Vance, the senator from Ohio who took the time to visit. If you're an environmentalist and care about the environment, you should care about the air and the soil and the water. Climate is not the environment, I would say. JD Vance, the senator from Ohio who took the time to visit one of his own communities. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Does Tucker Carlson listen to Inside the Numbers? Tucker, are you watching right now? I'd love to come on and talk about Dominion with you tonight. Tucker, if you're on. Tucker, obviously, somebody, either that or that's a hell of a coincidence, right? That's one hell of a coincidence. If Tucker just said what I've been saying for the last 2 days, 3 days, that the environment is not the same as climate. It's not, there are two different issues, the environment and then climate change. Yeah, Tucker, jump in the chat, buddy. Jump in the chat. They're two separate issues. They don't care because they don't give a damn about the actual environment. Come on. They care about an industry. They care about rent seeking. They care about order and status quos. That's all they care about. They don't give a damn if your favorite watering hole has been polluted forever. They don't care if you will never pull another lunker out of your favorite lake ever again because they poisoned it with their urban crap. They don't care about it at all. Maybe writers are Aaron. Maybe was that Aaron who said that or NL said that? Yeah, maybe. Probably. Like Greta Thunberg. She don't give a damn about the environment. She cares about climate change. That's it. AOC doesn't know anything about the environment. She cares about climate change. They're not the same thing. And I was eating the popcorn while I was listening to that. Like, no joke. That dill popcorn from Jam and Bean is just amazing. Promo code TPP. jamandbean.com, promo code TPP. Oh my God, it's so good. About what? The environment thing, Darn Snyder? Is that what you're talking about? I should. You're right. I should. Yep. TPP loves popcorn. And that's the thing. I wasn't a big popcorn. I like good gourmet popcorn. Like some things that have flavors on it, even though I'm sounding like a snob right now. But butter popcorn always used to hurt my stomach. I loved it. Like movies popcorn, loved it. But it always hurt my stomach because I ate too much of it. I never knew when to stop. So then I shied away from popcorn. And I was never a fan of like caramel popcorn. It gets stuck in my teeth. It's too sweet. I'm not a big fan of caramel. Theirs is amazing because it's got like, I think it's like a little bit of butter. I don't know. There's some kind of secret ingredient in there. And unlike like those tub popcorns you get during Christmas, their caramel dissolves. It doesn't get stuck to your teeth. Like, you get it. It's delicious. And then it dissolves. Man, it's good. Yeah, I see you. Don Schneider. Absolutely. Climate change. Come on. So JD Vance, I had some of the highest hopes for JD Vance, and at this point, he couldn't be making me more happy. I don't know how else to put it. He is doing what he told the voters to do. You can never begrudge a politician for being the person he ran as, right? So something like Bill Kristol afterwards is like, see, Youngkin was just a Trumper after all. He's doing this and he's doing that. And he points to these things that they had very clear debates over during the campaign with McAuliffe. McAuliffe wanted to talk about Medicaid expansion. McAuliffe wanted to talk about Trump, right? I mean, nonsense. And that's not what Youngkin wanted to talk about. He drove the message, and when he got in, he did what he said he was going to do. His popularity skyrocketed. His negatives are very low. So it's like Bill Kristol going out there saying, oh, see, he's just a Trump. He said he was going to do these things. What the hell? Are we supposed to get accustomed to them lying? So in the rare events when somebody actually does what they say they're going to do, we're all supposed to have like a, you know what, NL? I think you may be right. He may turn out to be like the best senator in the country. He may. Yeah, and by the way, Katie makes a really good point. How could you be a freaking warmonger and be for like pro-environment? How could you possibly do that? And that's the problem Republicans have, some Republicans. Because you have warmongers like Nikki Haley and Lindsey Graham and all these other schmucks. You have all of these people who are clinging to the Republican Party as if that's still the party. It's not. They can't take that position. They will prevent Republicans from being able to do what Florida Republicans have done, which is separate these issues. Do you believe in man-made climate change? No, but I believe in protecting the environment. What does that mean? What the hell? And then very easily make a coherent explanation to that. Who preserved Twin Lakes? Even under, and I brought this up on Twitter earlier today. I mean, again, I don't mean to dive into this, but it's an important topic. Even in New York City, even under Rudy Giuliani, and then his successor, Mike Bloomberg, before he left the Republican Party. But nevertheless, he never became a Democrat until the nomination. He ran as an independent. Under Rudy Giuliani, New York City was infinitely cleaner than it was under Mayor Dinkins or Democratic leadership before. It's not even close. Not even close. So, and now we've had Comrade de Blasio in this latest one, who isn't that bad, compared to de Blasio, but it's just, that's a wrap. I mean, last family member that left, and people I do know that still live there, they say, yeah, this may be in a place worse than like the Dinkins days. And for people who don't remember how bad it was during Mayor Dinkins, because from that area. Oh man. Oh God, it was so dark. It was so dirty. It was so filthy. It was so gross. Yeah, it was just terrible. Let's see what else. Let's get to some others. And usually Laura's here throwing them in the chat, but oof, that's a good point. Jurier says on Locals, question for the Q&A. If MAGA gets a significant share of mail-in vote in 2024 in the general election, how are they going to sell finding Democrat votes for a week after the election? We all know that's still going to be the play. They're going to try. I'll tell you right now, they're going to try. The very first vote by mail drop in Washoe County, Adam Laxalt won. In fact, he won it so handily. It was like a couple thousand votes, and he netted like over almost 2,000. It was a huge win. Yet, when the camera goes out in the middle of the night, the next drop goes to Cortez Masto. So they'll figure something out. Somebody's drunk in the chat, making people laugh. Yeah. And now here's another one. Harvard-Harris poll out. This is bad news. And I'll tell you, somebody's like, hey, you should tell. I texted Liz this morning and said that there's a slew of polls coming out, and none of them are going to be good for Ron DeSantis. Because I heard of a few of them. South Carolina one, the Morning Consult one. Now, I didn't know about the Harvard-Harris one. And I got to tell you, even head-to-head, Trump is at 56 against Ron DeSantis, even head-to-head nationally. 46 Trump with a fractured field, 23 DeSantis. It's a long way to go in polling. But to me, and I had done something private for a client, it looked to me like Trump had lost some steam or lost some ground, and then it was rebounding. And I didn't know how far it would rebound because I didn't continue to do it. Well, I would have, but it's just the end of it was at the end of the project. And this is bad. Also, the Harvard poll shows that Trump does the best against, that's the same we've seen with the other one as well. Nikki Haley is at, in the Harvard-Harris poll, Nikki Haley is at 6%. Mike Pence is at 7%. Mike Pompeo is at 3%. Marco Rubio is at 2%. Ted Cruz at 1%. Tim Scott is at 1%. We're not going to be adding people like this, folks. We're going to be adding who we know is going to run for president, or who we strongly suspect, and then who we have to put because the talk about them running has been so significant. So we'll have Trump. We'll have DeSantis, and he goes into category 2. At the end of the day, the people who are trying to use Ron DeSantis may not get what they want, but he's getting Trump is crushing him in this. Look at the Harvard-Harris polls, education, folks, and we could do it together if you want. But look at education. Holy moly, that is just these are bad. This is bad for Ron DeSantis, really bad. But anyway, we're gonna have Trump, we're gonna have DeSantis, we're gonna have Pence. We know he's running. Nikki Haley, obviously, we know he's running. Mike Pompeo has been making phone calls to donors that I know. They have called me. They say if I had to twist their arm, he's running. And Marco Rubio, we are not putting in there, so he's out. That's the end of number 6. So we have 5. We have Trump, DeSantis, Pence, Haley, Pompeo, and then we'll be adding Tim Scott because it does look like Tim Scott's going to be jumping in. And until then, until there's more serious, legitimate, credible talk about another candidate, or we've gotten indications from inside information that they're running, that's it. And honestly, some of them may have to be pulled out at some point. I honestly don't think that, that many of these people are getting far. Hey, you need me for something, bub? Oh, I really do appreciate you doing it for that long. Yeah, I am. Okay. That's it. And by the way, when I'm done here, you guys want to try the deal?
Yes, and I also want to hop in the pool with you.
Oh, I got some work to do. But after that, you got to try this. Can I promise? Can you promise you're not gonna? You know what? I'll be done in 10 minutes, and then when I'm done, you can have some. Okay? All right. See you guys in a bit. All right. So, John Bolton. I mean, I really, I just maybe it's just he's right. You guys are laughing because it's so unserious. I know Nikki Haley is going to raise money, but I just don't see a lane for her. Mike Pence, he'll raise money. He may have a small lane, but they're all going to be fine for this small, I don't want to be an America First party. That's not that much of the Republican Party. It's not. Then maybe 50% would be willing to vote for someone other than Trump. All right. Sorry about that. Yeah, so basically, Wall Street can't vote is a really, I muted on purpose, Gaylord. I didn't want you to have to hear everyone screaming bloody murder. I just, like I said, I'm kind of juggling things today and Laura's not here. So I'll probably wind up having to stop it in a couple of minutes. But yet, Wall Street doesn't vote. So there just isn't, why? And this is a good question. I want to bring this up. Emily, this is, even though I don't care about the second part of it, it is a bad look, that he does it, but this is why he's doing it. He's doing it because he's trying to tell him, don't do it. Don't do it. This would be the beginning of it. I think Emily makes a good point. So why is he doing it if the polls look so good for him? I think when you have people in your ear whispering, blowing up your ego, because all of these guys, all of them are egomaniacs. Like this idea that Trump's an egomaniac or so-and-so or Obama's an egomaniac, but somehow the rest of them aren't. It's just total nonsense. You have to be an egomaniac to run for president. And there are degrees of who's a bigger egomaniac than others, but they all are. And they're all subject to getting bit by the presidential bug. And Paul Ryan and the forces of Paul Ryan and McCarthy behind Trump's back, which I don't care if he believes it or not, it's true. They want DeSantis because they view him as having the most potential to pull some of the Trump base away. They need to fracture the Trump base because, look, there's no lane for their candidates. The only possible thing that they could do is a more complicated strategy that Mitt Romney laid out in 2016. You're in South Carolina. You run in South Carolina. Tim Scott, Nikki Haley try to pull some votes away, deny delegate sweeps, which ultimately is how Trump won the nomination without a floor fight. He was delegate sweeping anyway, and they were attempting to pull delegates away from him and drown it out so they could fight on the floor of the convention and deny him the nomination because he didn't secure enough delegates, even though he had the most. And they're going to try that now, only a much more not last-ditch effort, but a sophisticated way. And he's telling, look, he needs Florida's winner take all. And Trump will need Florida. He crushed Marco Rubio there, and Marco Rubio can't beat Trump in Florida. If these polls continue, by the way, I mean, it may be bad. It's possible. It's possible. All right. Let's see if it works now. But I'm never pulling that out ever again during a show. Okay? Never again. All right? It just doesn't work. I think that glitch was on that initial glitch was on YouTube's end, and everyone on Rumble was like, I hear you just fine. On Locals, they were like, well, I hear you fine. I pulled it out to try to make it work. I'm never doing it again. All right, so let me go back and say what I was saying. And let me bring up this, God forbid something happens, hopefully not, but let me bring up what I'm talking about here. That you get bit by the bug. And when you do, it's hard to deny it when you have people in your head going, oh, you can do so good. You could win. It's just a pain. People really start to believe it. So what Trump is saying is, don't do it. Don't do it. They don't want Biden really to run again. But here's the thing. Trump is he's back on top. Head to head, he's even back on top. This is the Republican primary stuff. Okay. People have serious doubts about Biden's mental fitness, but here's the real bad news and it's very early, but I'm telling you the Harvard poll does a pretty good job of this. And they do because I know they have very similar sources and methodology. So I know why they're able to get some of these voters that others aren't. Even like I would say the Reuters Ipsos poll, I was really shocked to see that Trump was doing that well in it, but still him and DeSantis both didn't have that big of a difference. They were both beating Biden, but barely. They're too educated, and that's why you're going to see something here. Okay, the panel is just too educated. The Ipsos panel here, Trump beats DeSantis and Haley in a primary head-to-head. That's bad news for the non-Trump forces. Even with DeSantis splitting some of the MAGA vote, Trump is at 56. Without a MAGA candidate, Nikki Haley is at 31. This is before anyone has ever heard her open her mouth or before Donald Trump has had a chance to really eviscerate her, which will happen. All right, so in Democratic horse race, Biden is the favorite, but Harris is the runner-up. Interesting if you want to look at the last Politico article that I tweeted a couple of days ago. There are people who are quiet because they're afraid, but there are other people who think that Biden is the only one who could beat Donald Trump. And then there's some people in Minnesota, especially Phillips out there and others. Angie Craig is a coward who wouldn't say it, but basically saying that this is different now. Trump has a record he could put up against Biden. Biden's made mistakes. There are things that have happened, and he's being honest, and he's saying we need to have competition, and Harris would not be the runner-up just because she's the vice president. Right here, it does show that she is 15% behind Joe Biden's 36. Hillary Clinton is 8. Bernie Sanders is 8. Pete Buttigieg has 6. I think Buttigieg would challenge Harris, and he probably would do better than her, at least as of right now. This is the big talk here. Trump wins in the horse race by against Biden by 5. He drums Kamala Harris, 10 points. But Biden and DeSantis are virtually tied in this head-to-head. And if you go through, DeSantis wins over Harris, though, by 3. A lot of this may be what I was telling you before. A lot of people don't know who DeSantis is. Trump has better name recognition. But if you go down further, and I'll share this link with you guys, here, Locals. If you go down further, you're going to see what it is. There are people who would vote with Donald Trump on the ticket. Of course, there are people who would only vote against Donald Trump. So there's always that argument for sure. But as a net, he brings more people out than he brings in addition against him that wouldn't have voted. And the Harvard-Harris poll was showing that as well. So ultimately, I think, DeSantis's image would grow and then maybe he'd be doing a little bit better. But this is just obviously a big talking point for Trump. His team is going to run with this. They're going to show it. I don't know if he's done it on Truth already, but let's see what he's put on Truth. Morning Consult. That was the last one he put on Truth a couple hours ago. So that's it. This is a good question. I don't see how anything NPR ever reports will affect Fox News. And I didn't mean NPR in general, Brian, but they do hate each other. But I think that's what they're trying to do, and it's their main target is Tucker. I think they already damaged Hannity sufficiently. Really, he damaged himself when those text messages became public, But and I'm referring to the text messages about January 6th. But it's not just them; it's everybody. And most say that Biden should not run for a second term, with unhappiness about his performance as president being the key reason. 65% or 63% changed from 65 last month. And that's what they're doing, by the way. So people I saw before were like, wait a minute, Trump's beating Harris by 10. It says 8. It said 8 in January. They always show you January. This is February's poll. So it was 8 in January. Now it's 10 in February that he has a lead by. All right. So he's too old. He's a bad president is 47%. He's a bad president. Holy crap. And he's too old. Wow. That is probably fueling some of the numbers for Trump, even though so many people say, well, I mean, it's a lot better than it is we're only talking about 8 points. That's a big difference between him and Biden. A big difference. Biden's almost 30 friggin' points. Most voters would support a moderate candidate over Trump and Biden. Well, that would make sense if there was anyone who's support an independent moderate. This never happens, though, folks. We've done this too. Like, would you vote for an independent? It doesn't happen, If you think if Trump loses the primary for president, who do you think will win? DeSantis 41. Just over half of Dems and Indies think Biden will win. This is, they do a pretty good layout of the stuff they asked. I like their crosstabs better, but this is cool. Governor, good for you people, but it's a plurality. Senators make shitty presidents. I don't know what to tell you. They do. They're not, executives make better presidents. Bill Clinton. Donald Trump was an executive of a corporate thing. You may like him, you may hate him, but he got a lot done. According to Heritage Study, he got more done than Reagan, who was also a governor. Nixon, a governor. And I don't care about Watergate. I've said this before. I have no problem saying it again. I don't give a damn about Watergate. Richard Nixon was a good president. Did I say Bill Clinton already? Governor of Arkansas. He was a good president. Whether you liked him or not, he did the job well. And frankly, I would give my left arm for Bill Clinton, the days of Bill Clinton right now. I really would. He was a good president. The country was stable. We had the peace dividend. Republicans forced him to do it, but he balanced the budget. So there we have it. Yeah, good. We can go through this. I put the link in everybody's thing, but I'm going to have to boogie here. So don't leave these kids high and dry. But Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are no doubt going to talk about Nikki Haley spewing myths of empire. I don't think anybody, whether they're defensive or offensive realists, would seriously take what she's saying with any degree of concern. This idea that we have to stop Putin at Ukraine or he's rolling into Poland, this is bullcrap. This is scaremongering bullcrap. He is not doing that. But you might believe that if all you listen to is Western media, because you never hear Putin yourself. In reality, maybe you speak it, maybe you don't. But in reality, if you listen outside of Western media and just listen to Putin himself, he constantly calls the Bolsheviks over-expansionists who put their ideology ahead of the Russian people. He is not an over-expansionist. He's not. With the spy you're talking about, ex-Summer, this is a good point. I mean, look, Clinton was the one who gave the CCP missile technology, advancing them 30 years. Yeah, there's no doubt. But Republicans back then, that's true. But Republicans didn't do it. They weren't making an alternative case at that time either. They were, too busy waiting with bated breath to trade with the Chinese. So it's not like anybody, was standing out. Executives make better presidents than senators. Absolutely. It's not even close. Absolutely. We wouldn't know about JFK because they blew his head off and his brains ended up in his wife's lap. So thank you, CIA. Maybe that would have been one that was different. So with that in mind, again, really want to push you guys. If you're already supporters on Locals, then make sure you check out. It's on Sundays, 3 p.m. if you can. The book show right now we're reading, or the book club we're reading, and you don't have to have it. You really don't. Okay. And you don't have to participate or read if you don't want to. You can sit back and just listen. But we're reading The Tragedy of Great Power Politics. Before we read, which is John Mearsheimer, who's been a very vocal critic of U.S. foreign policy in Europe, and that's why we're reading him. But he's an offensive realist. And before we read defensive realist Jack Snyder and his seminal work, Myths of Empire. If you would listen to Nikki Haley before, what she said is a myth. She is referring to something called the domino theory. It was bogus all through the Cold War when we pushed it. It's bogus now. But instead, we got into 2 peripheral wars that drained our resources and killed our young boys for nothing. Absolutely nothing. So yes, The Tragedy of Great Power Politics. Great book. And I think it's fair to say I there's a lot of contributions from Schneider I love, but I'm an offensive realist. I think he's right. He just says history is on his side. The empirical data is on his side, meaning the historical record. He can go back, and all things on defensive realism and the democratic peace theory, all this crap, sounds all very good and theoretically. And then when you try to measure it against the historic record, it doesn't hold up. So that's why I consider myself an offensive realist. But we're reading different competing thoughts. And if you're not in it, you're missing out. It's good stuff. And if you can't, check out the recording of it. I always post the recording. Okay. All right. Let's see. With that in mind, it's 2:05. I'm going to boogie. Thanks for watching. Again, don't forget Sunday, 3 p.m. And we'll be back with Inside the Numbers Monday at noon Eastern Standard Time, even though it is a holiday and the kids will be off from school. We're still going to make it work because Laura will be here. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. See you later.
How much you wanna up it, that I can get you back inside your head. Before the summer ends and spread a little love. Just for a little fun, I'll make you come back to me before the rise of every sun. Baby, it's meant to be, I know you got a man, but he don't understand. You're gonna be a heartbreaker. You're such a love taker. So just suck me in and you can toss me like a cigarette. 'Cause I just wanna be a bad habit, yeah.
Welcome to Inside the Numbers.